Okay.
Samich Zayin Amud Aleph, 67. We're dealing with mixtures, taruvis, min b'mino, min b'sheino mino. Ze aklal, kol shebanosa b'noisen tam. If you have a mixture and a dvar iser into a dvar heter, and the tam improves the flavor of the mixture, it's also. But if it's lifgam, if it creates a bad taste, then it's permitted. And that's the halach. When vinegar falls into boiling lentils, so then the tam of the yayin that fell in is livgam and we permitted. If the vinegar, I guess the yayin nesach was vinegar, fell into cold grisin, so that makes the flavor better. Even though later on, here tichon, you're going to cook it and the flavor is going to be bad. Nasa kamishis bichlosof boga. Anytime where the flavor initially is good, even though later on it's bad, it's usr. When the noisen tam lifgam mutter, it's when the vinegar fell into the boiling grisen. Aval navel toch grisen soin if they're cold, and therefore it's noisen tam lishvach. And even though later on we hear tichan, it's going to be livgam nasa kamish yishbiach v'sof pagam the aser.
It's calling it split peas. It's vinegar fell into split peas. That's
okay. This was called shachalayim, this dish with the vinegar, I guess, in the peas. When we talk about noisen tam livgam, it's lo sheyomu kederuzu chazer melach. This dish has too much salt, or missing salt, or yiser melach. or chasera tavlin yisera, too many spices. And that's why it's tespad. Ella, kol she'ein chasera klum. The dish is otherwise perfect. But eina nechelas b'nei. But people will not eat it because of this bad taste, because of this thing that fell in. That's the kind of nois and tam lifgam we're talking about. Viki di amri, and this is how we paskin like more like a kul amri shlokish. Nois and tam lifgam shamar heinomim keder zu chaser melach yiser melach chaser tavin yiser tavin. You can't. This is not a case where the dish is missing salt or spices, and that's why when you cooked it, it was pagam elahashta miyam pagam. It doesn't make a difference. If right now it's pagam, even though there's either enough spices or too little spice, whatever, it's mutter, and that's how we paskin. Amr v'vam Rav Yechna, kol shetamo v'mamasho. Not only do you have the flavor, but you have the mamish of the isser still there. Aser v'loikin alav. You get malchus for that. V'zeu kazayis b'chtechilas pras. If you have in the mixture isser of kazayis, when you eat this mixture, you end up eating kazayis. Even if it takes you 9.5 minutes to eat it, you are eating the isser itself, and you would get malchus for that. I'm going to read you the Shulchan Aruch. Dover aser shnesar v'dover mutter. You have some yain nesech that mixed up with chulant. Min b'mino, if it's wine with wine, so it's min b'mino, they have the same flavor. Ef sherlamad al tamo. So you can't differentiate with taste. Batal minator barov. 2 against 1. If there's, you don't need shishim. If there's 2 times the amount versus 1, it's batal barov. Min b'sheinu, if it's yain nesach in shulin, or kagon chaylev osir chaylev, prohibited fat, shenafal atoch greased and fell into peas, and they got dissolved there. So first of all, if there's 60 times amount of peas and therefore there's no taste of the chaylev, it's harei mutori. If it's less than 1/60th, and the loya behem mamasho, the ikar chaylev you took out, it's just the flavors there. It's awesome in divrei soifrim. Now, if you didn't take the chaylev out, im nimtza behem gam mamasho, it's awesome in a Torah. Now, how does that work? Novel kazayas isra toch shalosh beitzim shel heter. Let's say a kazayas fell into 3 beitzim, which are mutter. Im ocham in a taruvas azeh keshlosh beitzim. So the ratio is 1 kazayas for 3 beitzim. If you eat 3 beitzim of this mixture, you're going to get malchus, because you've eaten the tam and the mamish. Now, if you've eaten less than shalosh beitzim, and therefore you didn't eat a kazayas, or there wasn't a kazayas in the first place, you only get malchus midrabanan, because the flavor business is only midrabanan. Now, time of lo mamasho, if you only have the taste and not the mamish of the isser, like it all dissolved, you like chaylev, that all gets dissolved. It's nimuach. There's no mamish left. Or survein loikin Allah. Since there's no mamish, you only have tam. Vim riba tam livgam mutter. If the flavor that the dvar isser gave to the mixture is a bad flavor, then it's permitted. Freit the Gemara, what is this im riba? Lema im nosan tam livgam mutter. Hakamash when the avagav the ikimilach renisa to become a badei. Even though there are other things that could be giving a bad flavor, lack of salt, too much spice, we don't care about it. If the isser gave a pagam taste, then it's mutter. V'hilchashla kalishna basrad rish lakish, which is like I said, the halachos follows the leniency of the second version of Reish Lakish that we learned on the previous page. Rav Kahana Medivrei Kula. From all these Amiroim, Rav Yehuda, in the name of Shmuel, Rav Chana, Rav Dimi, Reish Lakish, Nilmat Shenois and Tam Livgam Mutter. we've learned that if the Dvar Isser gives the Taruvis a bad flavor, it's permitted. Amalei Abaya. Bishlam Makul Lachai. Fine. Everyone, based on the case they brought, are teaching the same thing. Ela Reish Lakish. How did we learn that Reish Lakish holds like that? Amru Ka'amar. He brought Shitas who were Amru, but it doesn't say that he agrees. V'leilo Svirle. Maybe he doesn't hold of that. Are there opinions that hold that if a prohibited item falls into a mixture and it gives a bad taste, it's still prohibited? The Gemara says yeah. Rameir holds that if a Dvar Isser falls into Taruvis, doesn't make a difference. If there's a good flavor or not, it's Asr. Rav Shimon Omer Lishvach Asr, if it gives a good flavor, it's prohibited. Lifkam Mutter. So we see Rav Meir holds like the sheet that Lifkam is Asr. My time, Rav Meir. Where did Rav Meir learn this from? He learned it Gomar Migi'ule Goyim. We're talking about when we confiscated kalim that belonged to Goyim, that they were cooking treif things in their pots. And when they came back from Milchemes Midyan, they were given instructions on how to kasher the pots. Now, we've already learned that anytime you have a flavor in a pot beyond 24 hours, it's automatically livgam. So, Giyule Goyim lav noisantam livgamu. This flavor was livgam. And yet also Rahmana. Yet the Torah forbade it. So it looks like from here, Rav Meir is learning that even noisantam livgam is going to be osir. Hachanami loishna. What does Rav Shimon say in response? V'idich, who says that noisantam livgam is mutter. Karavuna breid Rav Chia. Dor Ravuna breid Rav Chia. Lo asra Torah l'keder bas yoma. In fact, the Torah only prohibited a day-old pot, because then it's not livgam. Shelo livgamu. And it's if min Torah, if it's beyond 24 hours, the fact that the Torah required hechsher wasn't min Torah, it's only min Rabban. What does Rav Meir say in response?
Ernie, your Wi-Fi is cutting out. Ernie, your Wi-Fi is cutting in and all the time.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walter, it may be yours, because I'm getting it straight. I don't get any cutting out.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's mine then. Sorry.
Okay. So Rav Meir says, "Efshar shelo pogma purta," that even a bas yoma, the flavor becomes pogum. Yet the Torah asered it. So he's back to the sheet of noisantam livgam aser. What does Rav Shimon say in response? My taima, Titania, lo sochlu kol nevela. Don't eat nevela. Give it to a ger. Must be talking about a ger toshav, not a full ger, because a ger can't eat nevela either. Kolarui lager. Krui nevela. If the food is otherwise, a ger would eat it, then it would be prohibited type of nevela. Let's say it got damaged, or it's got a very bad flavor and rotted. It's not roy lachila, ain't a kru nevela. Then it cannot. It's not called a nevela, and it's the same holds true for any dvar iser. So nois and tal livgam, that's its source for nois and tal livgam is mutter. Okay, we'll stop here. So I'm gonna start the Neil Shir tonight, 8:00.
Okay.
We'll see everybody then.
So hold on a second. I just want to ask you a question. So when something is not then cut with gum and it tastes terrible, it's mutter to eat it? It suddenly became mutter to eat it?
A dvar isser.
Right.
That is a mixture, and it's nois and tan livgam. You don't need bittul; it's permitted. It doesn't aser the taruvas.
And it doesn't say how much the percentage is. Doesn't
You
make any difference.
you don't need a percentage.
Uh-huh.
Now, but a dvar isser, if it's min b'she'eno mino, needs 60. It's nois and tan livgam.
No.
If it's nois and tan, it will aser b'nois and tan.
Uh-huh.
If you have 60 of a dvar isser, not a nois and tan livgam isser. So remember, when we have a fleshik plate and we put a milchtik item on it, the first thing the rabbi will ask is, was this plate used within 24 hours? If it hasn't been used, if it's not a ben yomo plate, then the flavor that's in there is livgam, even by basar b'cholab, and it will not aser the food that falls on it. We have a custom to kasher such a plate, but it's just the custom, right? If you mix up your plate, we kasher it, but not make a adin. It's a gzeira, because if not, you won't kasher things that really need it. But the food itself is not prohibited.
And if it's hot food, it's not prohibited.
Even hot, because of this principle of anything that's not a ben yomo, it's livgam. Now, where it gets complicated is two areas: a knife, especially when it cuts onions.
Onions, right?
There we have a concept of machalya lishvach. That when you cut the onion and the duchka de sakina, the sharpness of the knife, it revives the pagam flavor to be lishvach. So that's why a knife gets things in trouble all the time. That's why we have pariv knives. And because once you have a fleshik knife and it cuts something, even if it hasn't been used within 24 hours, we don't have this heter of Eino Ben Yomo, because especially if you're cutting something like an onion or something charif, because it'll be machalya, the flavor that's absorbed in the knife lishvach, and then now a nois and tam lishvach mixture will aser unless it's 60.
Right.
But usually it's not going to be 60, because klipa, if you're cutting something small, you don't have 60.
But then you can take it and kasher that knife.
You take it and kasher the knife, yes. But the food's going to be treif.
Treif. Yeah, well, you won't be able to eat the food, but the knife you'll be able to kasher.
The knife you can kasher. Yeah.
You kasher it, you boil it. No, you keep it. What happens?
Boil it.
Okay, shkoyach. Bye. Bye, George.
Bye-bye.